Shiciputram Atra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagrajamuripurim Machurim Pushvarutim Radha Kundamamiram Ahoradika Marvasam Pratoyase Pratita Kripaya Sri Guru Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Radha Bhaktaya Namo Namah Ananda Leelamaya Vigrahaya Hemavadivyastami Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasambradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Bhakta Vihina Aparada Lakshin Chubhasta Kamari Karangamati Vipamaikam Sharanam Prabhana Vrinde Namaste Charanarabindam Vrinde Namaste Charanarabindam Govinda Sundar Shikanda Shikar Swarhas Murali Manara Radhikars Kumama Kripanidhi Supriya Charna King Kurin Kuru Tavai Vasmi Najibami Tayavana Tivinkaya Devi Tam Namam Sharatikam. First of all, I offer my Sastangdadvat Pushpanjali, my heart like flowers thousands and thousands of times at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmadev Paramaratma Guru Parapadma, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Krishtotarasata Sri Rupanugacharya Varya, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, after my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada, to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, after my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnava and Vaishnavis headed by our Chaitanya Bharikan and Sri Srimati Shamrani, Vansakalkara, Bas and Vitanam Bhavi Vaishnava. So, by the causeless mercy of Sri Gauranga Gauranga, this evening we are beginning our Sri Akhanda Guru-tattva festival. So I want to speak just a few words on the subject of the meaning of Guru and Akhanda. Akhanda Guru-tattva. What is the purpose of this world? What's the point? There was a time when there was no world manifest. Kiradakashai Vishnu entered into Gavadakashai Vishnu, Gavadakashai Vishnu entered into Mahavishnu, Mahavishnu entered into Lord Narayan. And no creation was going on. Then, when the time came for the next creation, then the Vedas personified. They came and they surrounded Bhagavan and they prayed to him. They offered very beautiful prayers to wake him up and request him to create the world. Just like if there's a very powerful king in Vedic culture, the king, he's not woken up in the morning by an alarm clock. Some bards, some musicians, they come and then they begin to sing his prayers and he wakes up hearing his own glories. It's a good day. So that's how the kings, they used to wake up. Even in Europe, Louis XIV used to. So, similarly, where does this come from? It comes from the spiritual world. When the Vedas personified, they come and they approach the Supreme Lord in his Yoga Nidra and they pray. Jaya 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 Jam Ajita Dosha Gribita Gunam Tamasiya Datmana Samavirura Samasta Bagaha Agajagadokasam Akila Shaktava Burakate Kwachida Jayatmana Chacharutanu Charena Nigamaha. Oh my Lord, Jai Jai, all glories to you, all glories to you. This proves that the Vedas are transcendental, not material. Why? There's no material world. And the Vedas are already speaking. Jai Jai, all glories to you, all glories to you, you're Ajita. So they call him Ajit. That is the name of the Lord. To wake him up, that means that the name of the Lord is transcendental. He is not part of this material world. And the name of the Lord, being non-different from the Swarup of the Lord, if someone calls it, it has the power to attract his attention. Otherwise, he wouldn't wake up and the universe wouldn't be here. If you want any proof, here it is. That the holy name has the power to attract the attention of the Lord. He wakes up and they say, oh my Lord, you have all potencies. You have your internal spiritual energy. And sometimes you manifest your external material energy. And there are many jivas situated in that external material energy. And they have many dosh, many faults. Because they are in the influence of Maya on them. So, oh my Lord, please wake up, manifest the universes along with the living entities who are anartha-grasta, and then manifest your spiritual potency in that material world and remove all of their faults so that they can be liberated and go to the spiritual world. So this is how the universe begins. So, how is it that when the universe is manifest, that as the Vedas have prayed to the Supreme Lord, that the Supreme Lord's spiritual potency enters into the world and removes all the faults of the jivas? That is the Guru-tattva. Supreme Lord himself directly doesn't do it, but Supreme Lord, Guru is also one form of the Supreme Lord. It is in the form of Guru-tattva that Supreme Lord removes all the faults of the jivas and awakens them to the sweetness of service to his lotus feet. So, Sri Krishna explained to Uddhav, Anadya vidya yuktasya purusasya mavedanam swatona sambhavat anyas tattva gyana dopavet. The meaning is that all the living entities in this world, they are anadi avidya yuktasya. They are yukta, united with avidya, ignorance. Since when? Anadi, time with no beginning. Anadi vidya yuktasya. It's very important to understand what is this avidya. Our body, physical body, and mind is not the self. What is the relationship between your body and mind and your Atma? This is a Shashi-Sringa Sambandha. The relationship between horns and a rabbit. Have you ever seen a rabbit's horns? No, because rabbits don't have horns. So that's the relationship that you have with your body and mind. Uh-huh. But it may be that you don't sound convinced. And that is called avidya. So now you know what avidya is, right? That's avidya. So precisely, we can say in this way, the body and mind, they are an upadhi. That means a designation. So, to give a simple example, if there's a crystal, and you hold a red rose next to the crystal, then the crystal appears to glow with a reddish glow, because it's catching the reflection of the rose. So there's nothing red about the crystal at all, but circumstantially, there appears to be a reddish glow there. That redness is an upadhi, something which is not intrinsically part of the crystal. So that is an upadhi. Now, when an upadhi is connected with the object upon which it is a designation, that is called adhyas. That is called adhyas, or superimposition. So avidya, here in this example, the crystal means your consciousness. And the designation is your body and mind. And the vritti, the Shakti of the Supreme Lord, Maya, which accomplishes the adhyas, the superimposition of that upadhi upon the jiva, is called avidya. The avidya vritti of Maya. It does two things. First, avarnatmaka, the jiva forgets who am I. And then, vikshepatmaka, our attention is thrown out into the world. So we forget who we are and we become very attentive to external things which are going on. So anadya vidya yuktasya purushasya atmavedanam. Soto means by himself. Because the living being has been united with avidya since time without beginning. That means there's no cause to his avidya. There's no material cause. There's no origin to this. So therefore, there's nothing he can do to get out of it. Understand? Because it is anadi, it has no beginning. There's nothing he can do to get out of it. And because it eclipses his own identity. Jivera swabhav Krishna das abhiman. De atma jnani achariti se dhyan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught Sanatana Goswami that the natural abhiman or identity of the jiva is Krishna das abhiman. To be Krishna's das. But that knowledge is now covered by the idea, I am the physical body and mind. So because his very sense of identity has been eclipsed, everything he does comes from his false sense of identity. So nothing that he does can get him out. Everything that he does just compounds the situation more. So anadya vidya yuktasya purushasya atmavedanam satono sambhavat anyas. It's very profound if we consider how the jiva is united with avidya since time anadi without beginning. If you consider carefully, you become completely peaceful and respectful to everyone. Amanina manadena Chaitanya sadahri. Not seeing faults. See, Krishna has said, guna dosha darshi dosho. To see the material faults and qualities of other living beings itself is a fault. One should not become preoccupied with them. Why? Sometimes we think, oh, this person is bad. But what is bad? The Atma bad. You are only looking at the physical body and mind, and not at the Atma. So this person is very bad. Why is he bad? Oh, maybe because of something, it's a reaction for something he did in a previous life. So he's responsible for his situation. But what was happening in the previous life? Why did he have that nature? Because of the previous life. And that was because of the previous and it never ends. So why are you blaming? Don't blame anyone. Whatever problem is in our life, we should only accept on ourselves, not on others. Take the blame, chant the name, taste the prayer. Don't point fingers at anyone. So, in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam there, when Kali Maharaj was breaking the legs of a cow, of a bull, yeah? And Prithvi Maharaj came there with his sword drawn, and he said to the bull, "Oh, who are you? And why are you suffering?" What did he say? Dharmam bhavisi dharmagya dharmosi brisharupadrik. Yad papam kritam stanam suchakasapi tadbhavet. The bull said, I cannot blame anyone. There are so many theories, but I cannot ascertain. The person who was beating him was standing there right there, but he didn't blame him. Parikshit Maharaj said, "Oh, you have answered me according to, you must be Dharma the bull. You must be Dharma, you must be religion personified. Because you have answered me according to the principle that the destination that the perpetrator goes to, the person who points a finger and identifies him goes to the same destination." So no finger pointing, no blaming. Be peaceful, kind to everyone, respectful to everyone. Why? Because everyone in this world, anadya vidyuktasya. There's no mature beginning to this. We cannot blame anyone for their situation. Purusasya savedanam sotol na sambhavat anyas. And by ourselves, no individual can get out. Therefore, na sambhavat anyas tattvagyo jnanado bhavet. Krishna is saying, therefore, there must be anya, another person, tattvagyo, who knows the truth, tattvado, and who can give that truth to us. So here the discussion is the distinction between Atma and Paramatma. Because the Atma is in a situation that he cannot get out of. There has to be another person who is not in ignorance who can bring him out. And that person who is not in ignorance and who can bring us out from our ignorance, that is Paramatma. That is Paramatma. But there's still one more problem. What is that? Jive shakshat nahi tate guru chaita rupe. Shiksha guru hoy Krishna mahanta sarupe. And that is that the Paramatma in our heart, in our conditioned state, we cannot communicate with him. We cannot talk to, we cannot perceive him. Jive sakshat nahi tati guru chaita rupe. There's a guru in our heart. He's right there. Paramatma. But in the conditioned state, we cannot perceive him. And therefore, Shiksha Guru Hoy Krishna Mahanta Swarupe, that Lord who is in our heart, he manifests outwardly in the form of Gurudev. So, Krishna, Guru, Bhakta, Shakti, Avatar, Prakash, Krishna Ei Chairu Karna Vilas. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Pad said, Krishna himself is playing in 6 forms. Krishna, his own form, Guru, Bhakta, the devotee, Shakti, his potency is like a Dada Pandit, Avatar, like a Dvaita Charipur, and Prakash, like Nityananda Prabhu. So 6 features, Krishna, Guru, Bhakta, Shakti, Avatar, Prakash, Krishna, Ei, Chairup, Karina, Vilas. Krishna's playing this way. So, the Supreme Lord does not directly give mercy. What are we discussing here? We're discussing the necessity of taking shelter of Guru. First part of the necessity is because we cannot get out ourselves. And the second part of the necessity is God is also not going to help you. Because Bhagavan in the spiritual world only interacts with his Swarup Shakti. It doesn't interact with Maya. Then that Paramatma, Samoham Sarvabhuteshu, Name Dvestisti Na Priya. I am equal to everyone. He's impartial, just watching. Upadrasta Anumantascha. He's just watching. If you're lying on the beach sipping pina colada, or if you're burning to death in a fire, he's just watching. It's no difference to him. Right? It's all the same for Paramatma. So why is it all the same for Paramatma? The reason is this, that, you see, mercy is a movement of the heart. Mercy is a movement of heart. If a person, Srila Prabhupada used to say, if a person has been pricked by a pin, then if he sees a pin going next to someone else, he can feel it, right? If you felt a pain and you see someone else in that same pain, you feel it. So there's a move that when someone has suffered, if they see someone else suffering, they identify with that and their heart moves. That is called karuna, compassion. You see? Now, Bhagavan has never suffered. He has no material suffering. He's Satchidananda Vigraha. Ishvaraha Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. There's no Maya in him. So, even though the Supreme Lord, he knows about suffering, he can know about the suffering of the living entities, but he doesn't know what it's like. Srila Jiva Goswami makes this distinction. He calls it, to know about suffering is called the dukkha gyan, knowledge of suffering. So he knows it, theoretically. He knows it in theory. Do you know the theory of suffering? Or do you only know the practical part?
Number 2.
The second. Okay, well, the theory is this. The theory is this. Here's your physical body. Inside you have a subtle body, right? Manas, buddhi, ahankar, and the last level of the subtle body is called chitta. It's called chitta. Okay, that's called chitta. And this chitta can expand and contract. The chitta is accommodated by akash, by space. Space gives room for movement outwardly and also inwardly. Bhutanam chittadapitam bahi antram evacha pranendriyat nadisyatmam navaso vritti lakshanam. Lord Kapil Dev in the third canto explained the qualities of akash. It gives space for you to move outwardly, and it gives space for your inner movements of your subtle body as well. So, one name for akash in Sanskrit is ka, like Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita. Shabda ke parusham nishu. I am the sound in the ether. K means in the ka. Ka. Ka means ether. So, when the chitta is expanding in the ether, that is very beautiful. Sukha. So the word sukha, happiness in Sanskrit means sukha, that the chitta is so beautifully expanding in the ka.
Oh.
Yes. And dukkha, suffering, means dukkha, that the chitta is contracting. So then you become, when you're suffering, it's like you're the center of everything. And you can't think of anything else or anyone else, and the whole world is just this pain that's right in front of you. Because the chitta has contracted. And you can't, there's no room to think and conceptualize even at that time of pain. So God knows the theory of suffering. That's called dukkha gyan. But he does not have dukkha anubhav, the realization. Our problem's the other way around. We know the theory of the happiness of the spiritual world, but no realization. So he's the other way around. He knows the theory of suffering in the material world, but he has no realization. And because he has no realization, Bhagavan, his heart is not melting. Why? Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bandhu, he's full of compassion. So if he knew about the suffering, if he had the experience of what it's like to suffer in the material world, because his heart is so soft, then he would deliver us all in a second. We'd all be delivered at once. Srila Jiva Goswami makes this argument. We wouldn't be here right now. So if you have a doubt, if you think, well, Prem Prayojan is saying, Bhagavan has dukkha gyan, but he doesn't have dukkha anubhav. If you have a doubt, then don't have any doubt. Because if it weren't true, then that means if it wasn't true, then what would happen? If God had dukkha anubhav, we'd all be already in Goloka Vrindavan, would be delivered right now. So, when Krishna was in the womb of Devaki, or Ratha Vasudev Krishna was in the womb of Devaki, in the prison cell of Kamsa, at that time, all the demigods came in the sky and they began to offer prayers. And they said, Swayam samuttira sudustaram duman, bhavanavam bhima adabrasoridaha, bhavat padambora navam attate nidayata sadanugraho bhavan. The meaning is this, and it's actually this verse of the Garbhastuti, the prayers of the Devatas, when Krishna is in the womb of Devaki. That's called Garbhastuti. This is the explanation of Srimad Bhagavatam of the Guru Parampara. The meaning is this, that, oh my Lord, you are shining like the sun. Duman, you're like the sun. So here it means that in the sun there's no darkness. You don't know anything. You don't have the experience of the darkness of the material world. But this material world is like a dark and dangerous ocean of material existence. But Swayam Samuttirya, when your sadhus, they cross over this ocean of material existence in the boat of service to your lotus feet, they are so kind that when they cross over, they leave the boat back on the other side. Usually if someone crosses over a river in a boat, then they get out and the boat's on the other side and everyone on the other side is stranded. Right? So the Devatas are saying, your sadhus, when they cross over this ocean of material existence, they are so kind that they don't leave everyone stranded there, but they leave a boat for others to get in and cross. So that is the Guru Parampara. The Acharyas come here and they have their pastime of going through their sadhana, bhav, prem, and crossing over this material. And while they're here, they give instructions to us, inspire us, and inspire their satsisya to be their representative in the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. So Sadanugraho Bhavan, your name is Sadanugraha. This is a name for Krishna, Sadanugraha. It has three meanings. One, Sad Anugraha, you give Anugraha mercy. Two, Sat, your devotee. That means you don't give mercy to those who are not devotees. Sadanugraha means you only give mercy to the devotees because you only interact with your Swarup Shakti. So when your devotee cries, he's not crying because he can't pay the mortgage or whatever, his wife left him, whatever it is. When the pure devotee is crying, he's crying due to separation. And that his pain, his suffering is a manifestation of the Swarup Shakti. So Sri Krishna hears it and he delivers that person. But, so Sadanugraha means you give your mercy only to the devotee. So the second meaning of Sadanugraha means you give your mercy only through the devotee. Understand? Because the Supreme Lord, his heart is not melting because he doesn't have Dukh Anubhav. But the pure devotee has what is called Jagara Swapna Dukhavat. Jagara Swapna Dukhavat. Jagara means waking up. And Swapna Dukh means the suffering in a dream. Just like if you suffered in a dream and then you woke up, then you feel fine, but you have a vague memory that you suffered in the dream. So in the same way, for example, when Narad Muni was walking through the forest and he saw the two sons of Kuber, Nalukuver and Manigriv, intoxicated, playing in the water. And the girls they were with, they got out and covered themselves, but they were standing naked and they were hurling abuse at him. So at that time, when Narad Muni saw them, his heart melted. Why? And Jagara Swapna Dukhavat. Because he had a vague memory that in his previous life, he was the son of a maidservant. And that history is there in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, how the Bhaktivedantas came during the rainy season. And he served them and they gave him mantra, and then he followed their instructions, and then at the end of his life, Prayojan mayitam shuddham bhagavatim tanum arabdhikama nirvano nyapatat pratyabodhika. Then he attained his spiritual body as Narada Muni. So because of that, his heart melted seeing them in ignorance, in a very pitiable position in the world. And he cursed them, but his curse was such that Kuveratna jo baddhamurtyaiva yadvat tvayamokito bhakti badokito tata prema bhaktin swakam nigraja namak shigrahomesti damodar. So they would get the darshan of Krishna in Braja Gokul and attain Krishna prema. So, Satanugraho Bhavan. First, Satanugraha means you only give your mercy to the devotee. Secondly, you only give your mercy to others through the devotee. And the third meaning, Satanugraha, because this is samas. So by samas you can get many different meanings can come. So Satanugraha, the third meaning is the devotee is your mercy. The devotee is your mercy. Samsara davana lita loka tranaya karuna gana ganatvam. The concentrated, see Krishna Kripa Murti, the concentrated cloud of Krishna's mercy is Sri Guru. So Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Pad, he said, Yadyapi Amara Guru Chaitanya Das. Tatapi Jani Ami Tahara Prakash. Yadyapi Amara, even though I know my Gurudev is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Das. He's servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But at the same time, Tatapi Jani Ami Tahara Prakash. Gurudev is Prakash of the Supreme Lord. What does that mean? Prakash. Just like if the moon is in the sky, then you can see in the water reflection of the moon. This is called Prakash. Or if there's a mirror and someone is reflected in the mirror, this is the Prakash. Now, there are some differences between the bimba and the pratibimba, the original object and the reflection, in general case. First of all, the reflection is not independent. It needs a reflecting medium, right? It needs a medium in which it can be reflected. Secondly, it's only 2D. It's not in 3D. Thirdly, it doesn't have all the qualities. If a person has very good fragrance, but if you smell the reflection, then no good fragrance. So all the qualities are not there. But the Prakash of Krishna is not like that. It requires no reflecting medium. It is not inverted. It does not have less qualities. It is exactly the same. So, Krishna, Guru, Bhakta, Shakti, Avatar, Prakash. For example, Nityananda Prabhu is the Prakash of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Supreme Lord has many Prakash Vigrahas in his Leela. For example, in Dwarka, Narad Muni went to Dwarka and he went into every palace. And he saw that Krishna was there. There were many Prakashas of Krishna everywhere. In one palace he went, and Krishna, oh, Narad, you have arrived. He went to another palace. Krishna, oh, Narad, you. When did you arrive in Dwarka? And Narad was thinking, he's really surprised to see me. Each one of the Prakashas that he went to was surprised to see him. Actually, Narad was thinking. Because even though it's the same person, but Prakash Bhed, Abhiman Bhed. Each form of Krishna has a different Abhiman. And in most situations doesn't know that the other forms even exist. So, not only that, but Narad Rishi saw that in one palace, Krishna was sitting and listening to the Brahmanas recite the Puranas. In another palace, he was practicing martial arts. In another palace, he was talking intimately with his wife. In another palace, Krishna was sitting and meditating on the absolute truth, remembering Gayatri mantras. So remembering the mantras you do in the midday, listening to the Puranas you do in the afternoon, talking intimately with the wife, that's in the evening, like this. So Narad realized not only are there Prakashas of Krishna everywhere, but the Dham itself have different Prakashas, because in each palace he was going to was a different time zone. It was another Dwarka. So 16,000 Krishnas in 16,000 palaces in 16,000 different dwarkas because they're all different time zones. That's why you can see in Srimad Bhagavatam narrative goes, he can't believe it. He was astonished. So now the thing about Prakash is this. Krishna has a form, and his form is localized in one place, right? So if he expands and he's over there and he's over there and he's over there, then generally we think that from his one form, he's expanded and gone over there, and he's made another expansion over there, another expansion over there. We tend to think like that. But that's not the fact. Why? Because Krishna's one form, Krishna's one form is already everywhere. His one form is already everywhere. It's just that one form that's already everywhere can appear there, or appear over there, or appear over there, or appear over there. It's not that this form's going over there and expanding over there. It's like he has one form which is everywhere, and he can reveal it to the eyes of a devotee in different places at different times as he wants. That's called Prakash. Understand Prakash? Yeah? Okay. So Krishna's already everywhere. And he can reveal himself to anyone he likes at any moment, in any form. And one of those Prakashis is called Shri Guru. Yadya Priya Mara Guru Chaitanya Radas Tatapi Jinya Ami Tahara Prakash. Then, the next verse, Krishna Kaviraj Goswami was saying, Guru Krishna Rupahaya Shastra Pramani, Guru Rupe Krishna Kripa Karin Bhaktagani. So when Sri Krishna appears in this world, in his Prakash Rup, as Gurudev, then what does he do? Does he lift Govardhan hill? No. Does he dance on the head of Kaliya? No. Does he play flute? No. This is a special form. Guru Krishna Rupaya Shastra Pramane Guru Rupe Krishna Kripa Karin Bhaktagani is a Krishna Kripa Srimurti. It's the form in which he has the pastime of giving mercy to the living entities. Because in his original form, Vrindavana Bihari Lala Ki, he's enjoying Nikunja Lila in Vrindavan. And he does not have any awareness or thoughts of the living entities in the material world. But his Prakash Rup, that is Sri Guru, who has some feeling, like the Jagrat Swapna Dukkhavat. Sri Guru is the Anandamoy, full of bliss. It is Srila Vrindavan Thakur. He said, Yata Deke Vaishnavera Vyavahara Duk, Janya Nishtaya Se Parananda Sukh. If you see that a Vaishnava in this world is suffering, then you should know that actually he's experiencing the highest bliss. Vaishnavera Jatadeki Vyavahar Duk, worldly suffering in the Vaishnava. Janya Nishchaya Se Parananda Sukh. This is the tattva. But Jagara Swapna Dukkhavat, just like the person who woke up from a dream, has some vague memory. So the Vaishnava in this world, he has some. And so when he sees our suffering, then his heart is melting. Vaishnava Thakura, Aprakrita Sada, Nirdosha Anandamai, Sadanama Ruchi, Jiveta Doyadra Hoy. The Vaishnava is Aprakrita, supernatural, has no fault, is full of Ananda, but Jiveta Doyadra Hoy. Heart is melting for the living entities in this world. So this is a Guru-tattva. Did I run out of time? I don't want to go over. How long do they got?
We're already a little bit behind, but like 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Sure. Okay. Then I have 5 minutes to say something about the word Akhanda. No, I'll say that tomorrow. Krishna, his Naam, Roop, Gun and Lila are all supernatural, transcendental. Our material senses cannot touch them. But Sevan Mukhi Jivado Swamevas Pratada. When the living entity becomes attentive to service, then they naturally manifest. But how can we serve? Where is Krishna? We cannot see in the conditioned state. So Sri Krishna has come in the form of Sri Guru, and then we can serve. He gives us a chance to render service. And when we save Unmukh, completely absorbed in that service, then the mercy of Krishna Naam, Rup, Gun and Lila can manifest in our life. So Yasya Deve Para Bhakti Yata Deve Tata Garo Tasyaiti Katita Yata Prakashante Mahatmana. In the Upanishads it is said that for one who, as he is devoted to Krishna, he is similarly devoted to his Guru, then Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, the meaning of all the Shastra will manifest in his heart. So one should have, as one is devoted to Krishna, one should be devoted to Guru. Okay, that's nice. But in the Padma Purana, there's something more sweet. And the Puranas are sweeter than the Upanishads. And the Bhagavad Purana is sweeter than everything. So, in the Padma Purana there, Devahuti prays. Bhakti yata haro mesti tadvarista guru yadi mamasti tena saptena sandarshaitu me hari. Oh my Lord, if as I am devoted to you, I have more devotion to my Guru than to you, then kindly appear before me at once. And then the Supreme Lord appeared. So Shastra actually tells one should have more devotion to Guru than to Krishna even. And then he becomes a Vishesh Sevak, special servant. There are two types of servants, Sadharan Sevak and Vishesh Sevak. The Sadharan Sevak, he knows there are 64 Angas of Bhakti, and one of those Angas of Bhakti is Vishrambena Guru Seva. It's one of the 64 Angas of Bhakti, he knows. But Vishesh Guru Sevak, he knows there's only one Anga of Bhakti, Guru Seva. And all Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padase, all the other Angas are sublims of service to Gurudev. I'm hearing to please Gurudev, I'm chanting to please Gurudev, I'm serving the deity to please Gurudev, I'm bowing down to please Gurudev, doing parikrama to please. Everything is just the sublims, the upangas of Guru Seva. So he's called Vishesh Sevak. And that person attains perfection very quickly. So such a person who has attained perfection, then, only the person who has attained perfection can understand the greatness of Sri Guru. Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur said, there is an eternal line of demarcation between the Savior and the saved. People often speak about it. What is the speciality of this Acharya and what is the speciality of this Acharya? What's the speciality of Srila Narayan Maharaj? It's a very big conversation. So I think the Gurudev himself used to express that sentiment. He said, the speciality of my Gurudev is that so many incarnations came to this world, so many Acharyas came to this world, and they left and I was still here. So his speciality is, he's the only one who grabbed me by the seeker and he pulled me out of the filth of material existence and made me taste the nectar of service to his lotus feet. So this eternal line of demarcation between the Savior and the saved. Gurudev used to say, first, try to be like Prahlad Maharaj. The prayers of Prahlad Maharaj are so beautiful. In the 7th canto, you can read. The first thing that Prahlad Maharaj prays is, oh my Lord, please don't offer me any big benedictions because I took birth in a demon family. So don't encourage me. So that's always a good thing to remember. If something, Amito Vaishnava Ebudo Hoele. If I think I'm a Vaishnav, then what? Naryagami, go to hell. So the first thing to remember is, I have taken birth in the pits of Kali Yuga. In this very fallen age. All the living entities in this age are completely fallen. They cannot go any, they're so low, they cannot go any lower. They just roll to the left or roll to the right. And I have been born in that Yavan situation. Then Prahlad Maharaj says, but my Lord, Evam janam nipatitam prabhavahi kupe kama vikamam anuya prapatan prasangat kritva atmasat surashina bhagavan grihite soyam katham nuvisrije tava britya sevam. O Lord Nrsimhadev, I was associating with materialistic persons, and by following them, I had gone into a deep, dark well full of poisonous snakes. I had one material desire after another, and I was just following those material desires one after another, and I was in a terrible suffering condition. But what happened? Oh my Lord, your servant. Who? Narad. Again Narad. Your servant Narad. Kritva atmasat. He made me, Kritva atmasat means he made me atmasat. It's very beautiful. He accepted me. Bhagavan Grinite. He accepted me, Kritva atmasat, and he made me atmasat. What does atmasat mean? Kabhi hai no kripa labya ejan kritarta hoibe nata Shakti buddhihin amiyati din koromori atmastata. What does it mean, atmasat? Atmasat means that though I was independent, by his mercy, he made me fully dependent upon him. Though I was trying to be independent, I became fully dependent. Though I thought I was puffed up with the idea of I and mine and possessiveness of this world. But he made me his own. You are mine. Gurudev does this. This is called Kritva atmasat. That the disciple feels, I have no independence. I am not separate from my Gurudev. I belong to my Gurudev. My body, mind and senses are all only for his service. This is atmasat. But one cannot do it by himself. Only he can pray, Koro more atmasat. And by Gurudev's kripa, then we can become atmasat. In his commentary on this verse, Vishwanath Thakur said, Prahlad Maharaj is crying. And Prahlad Maharaj said, Kritva atmasat. Narad Muni said, oh, Supreme Lord, let this jiva be mine. And he accepted me and made me a part of himself. So the disciple becomes a part of Sri Guru and like an expansion of Sri Guru. He becomes Guru's expansion, non-different from Sri Guru. So Prahlad Maharaj is crying and he says, so yam katam nu vistrijay tava britya sevam. So, oh Lord Nrsimhadev, you're offering me a benediction. But all I can say is I was suffering in this world. And Narad Muni, by his mercy, he made me a part of himself. And now I've become so blissful. So, how could I, Visvijay Tava Britya Sevam, how could I give up the service of your devotee, of your Britya? This is the thing that if someone is on another path, on the path of Gyan, then when you attain perfection, realization of Brahman, then you give up the sadhana of Gyan. If you do yoga sadhana, when you attain perfection, you give up the yoga sadhana. In all different paths. If you're doing karma kanda to go to heaven, when you get to heaven, then you don't do that yagya anymore. But Prahlad might say, no, bhakti is not like this. I was serving my Gurudev, and now by his mercy, he's made me one with himself. He's made me an expansion of himself, part of himself, in the transcendental plane, integrated into the divine paraphernalia of the Supreme Lord. So, but I cannot ever give up his service. Mats janmanam palavidam madukaitavare mat prataniya madanugra isha eva Tvad britya britya paricharika britya britya pristasya britya itimam smaralokanata. Oh my Lord, this is the perfection of my life. This is the fruit of my life. This is what I'm praying for. And this is the only thing that I consider to be your mercy. What is that? That my Lord, you will see me and accept me. Remember me only as Tvad Britya Britya Paricharika Britya Britya, the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of your servant. This is a kind of bhajan chaturya, actually. There's a sweetness in not serving directly, but serving the servant of the servant of the servant. There's a nectar there. Mother Yashoda, we see when the milk was over boiling, she gave up Krishna and went to the milk. How is it possible? Does she have more love for the milk than for Krishna? But that's the nature of praying. That the who is beloved to my beloved is 2 times my beloved. This is the mathematics of praying. Try to understand this. This is why Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, in giving our Sambandha Gyan, those who are in the line of Rupa Goswami will follow this relationship. Madishana tatvai vrajapipina chandram bhajamane swanim tamna tatvai tadatula sikittvai tulalitam vishakan shikshali vitarana gurutvai presaro grendo tat prakshola litarati datvai smarmana. Madishana tatvai. Who is Krishna? Oh, he is the beloved of my Radharani. Not a direct relationship. This is better. Because who is the beloved of your beloved, then they have 2 times more love for you and you have 2 times more love for them. And who is Radhika? Radhika is Krishna's beloved. So if you have love for Radhika, then Krishna's her beloved. So then you love Krishna 2 times more. But Radhika is Krishna's beloved, so then you love Radhika 4 times more. And Lalita is Radhika's beloved. So then you love Lalita Sakhi 8 times more. And Rupa Manjari is Lalita Sakhi's follower. 16 times more for Rupa Manjari. Praying is like this. So that Britya Britya Paricharita Britya Britya. So it is a fact that actually the confidential mysteries of praying, no one can enter into it themselves. It is by invitation only. It's by invitation only. We have to be admitted to the transcendental plane. Nityananda Prabhu has opened Marketplace of the Holy Name in Gautam Dweep. There. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is there. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur there. Our Gurudev is there. All there. Only by their mercy can Kritvatmasat. Prahlad Maharaj said, he made me his own expansion. By the mercy of Gurudev, Gurudev can admit us into their eternal transcendental association. And then the nature of praying is revealed. Before then, we're doing bhakti, but more or less we're doing bhakti because for our own happiness. I was suffering, my mind was disturbed. So I went and watched a movie. After that, I felt worse. And then I made a vow, I'm not going to do that again. And that was the 100th time the person made the vow. Okay, I'm going to do some bhakti, then you chant and you go in the kirtan and you feel better. This is the conditioned stage where the person is doing bhakti, but it's for their own happiness. But when Atmastat, Gurudev makes the disciple Atmastat and he enters into that divine realm, then bhakti is hoitukiya pratiyata, spontaneous love, serving, always serving. Why? No time to think why. This is ahoituki, spontaneous love. So in this way, we try to discuss a little bit today Guru-tattva. Tomorrow we'll discuss Akhanda. So I went over time. Please excuse me. Srila Gurudeva ki jai.
Hi. Can I ask a question?
The question is, I would like some clarification or a reconciliation of something that you said, which is that Krishna has no dukkha anubhav because he's never experienced suffering, but Guru has some slight remembrance as in a dream, and you gave the example of Narada. So how do we understand that, since so many of our gurus are nitya siddha, they're eternal associates, and they may have done a human-like pastime of coming up step by step to perfection, but really it's just for our benefit, and they were always perfect. So can you explain that?
Yes, that's a very good question. This is why Srila Jiva Goswami gives the example of Narad, because we're familiar with his previous life from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. In general, according to Vishwanatha Thakur in Madhurya Kadambini, generally the Madhyamadikaris are giving mercy. Generally. But very, very rarely, the great souls are coming down from the spiritual world also, and they're also giving mercy, of course, like our Parampara. The example is given of Narad. You know that though the history of Narad, becoming Narad, is in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, but Narad himself is a Nityaparika. He's an eternal associate. He's in all of the he's in the leela of Krishna, he's in the leela of Lord Ram, he's in the leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srivas Thakur, he's in Vaikuntha, he's in Golok, Vrindavan, Narad is everywhere. He's transcendental troublemaker. He goes everywhere, stirring up problems. That's his pastime. So, but sometimes those eternal associates, they expand themselves, and an expansion comes into this world and plays the role of going through being like a sadhak, and then in the end they enter back into them. Or they may get an eternal position similar. For example, it is said that some of the gopis, they expand themselves and appear as the demigoddesses. Then when Lord Brahma goes and prays to Kiradakashai Vishnu at the ocean of milk, then the Lord says, "Oh, I'm about to appear in the world." Krishna speaks to him in the trance of Brahma, said, "I'm about to appear into this world, and the demigods should appear in the Yadu dynasty and help me, and the wives of the demigods should take birth also, and they take birth as gopis." So in the commentaries on Ujjwal Nilamani, Vishwanatha Thakur and Jiva Goswami say that those expansions of the Nityasiddha coming to this world appear as the demigoddesses in heaven, then they do a sadhana and they gradually become perfect. And when they become perfect, they become Priya Sakhis. So the origin is the Paramprastha Sakhis, and their expansions appear in this world and have pastimes of sadhaks. And when they become siddha, they become Priya Sakhis, and the Priya Sakhis are the followers eternally of the Paramprastha Sakhis, like this. So it should be understood in this way, that generally mercy is coming from the Madhyamadikari. That is, Maitri, Prema Kripa, Maitri Kripopeksha, Sakaroti Samadhyama. Giving Kripa is generally the condition of the Madhyamadikaris. But when the eternal associates come down, then they behave like, though they're Uttam Adhikaris, but they behave like Madhyamas for the sake of preaching. Because those who are in the consciousness of the Uttam Adhikari, they can't preach to anyone because they think everyone has praying except for themselves. Their vision is that everyone has love except for me, so they don't preach. But if the Kripa Shakti comes in and their vision is adjusted to see the world like a Madhyam Adhikari, where they can see different types of people. Ishvarita de Dineshu, Valiseshu de Satsacha, Prema Maitri Kripopeksha, Sakrot Samadhyama. They see some people are envious, we neglect them. That means we pray for them, but we can't interact with them because they may make offense. And then those are innocent, they have to be given mercy. And the devotees' friendship, and for the Supreme Lord there's love. So this is the answer according to the commentaries of the Avatar.
So if you could just confirm,
it sounds like you're saying that there's two situations that the Nityasiddha associate appears to be a condition coming up to perfection. One is when it's his expansion, and the other one, he's just playing a role. Like Raghunath Das Goswami, Mahaprabhu said, don't come to me now, first become mature. And
Come to Nishta.
Huh?
Come to the stage of Nishta first.
So I'm understanding that you're saying there's two ways, correct?
Can I ask a question? So the Nityasiddha Bhaktas, when they are going through the process of purification, even though they're already pure, we know that in this world, the illusionary energy that acts upon us is Maya, and in Krishna's pastimes, it's Yoga Maya, and it causes forgetfulness. Like Krishna really forgets that he's God, and Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda don't think of their son as God. They really, truly don't think that way. So when the Nityasiddha Bhakta is going through their quote-unquote suffering or their purification, it must be Yoga Maya that's acting that illusion upon them, because we know they're not under the influence of Maya. But in that moment, do they really feel suffering, like you're saying the pinprick, and then you feel someone else go through that because you've gone through that? Do they really experience suffering, or are they aware that they're eternally perfect? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Are they made to forget by Yoga Maya truly?
But Srila Gurudev said, just like Krishna, he has two qualities, Mugdata and Sarvaketa. Krishna, he can know everything, and he can also be bewildered and know nothing. So, and even then we can't reconcile that, because our consciousness is just on one channel at a time. Right? So, but Krishna simultaneously, he can be Mugdata in Goloka Vrindavan, just I'm the son of Nanda and Yashoda, and now I have this big problem because I have fallen in love with the daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj, but she's already married, oh, what will I do? So this is Krishna in Vrindavan. But at the same time, if a devotee in this world is in Raga Marg, and some bhakti has come in their heart, Satam Prasangam Mama Virya Samvido Maharaj was saying, that if you have ordinary Sangha, the association of a sadhu is a sadhu, but not in Raga Marg, then Mama Virya Samvido, then Bhavantirkana Rasayana Kata, then by their association, you come under the shelter of Krishna's Kriya Shakti. And that's why it's called Bhajana Kriya. It's not actual bhajan. It's just the activities of bhajan, Bhajana Kriya. But when there's Prasanga, the most excellent Rasik Sangha, then Mamavirya Samvido, there's Samvit Shakti in their Katha. So Samvit Shakti is the self-revealing potency of Sri Krishna. So then the Katha becomes Rasayana Katha. The Katha becomes full of rasa because Samvit Shakti is acting in the heart of the listeners. They're not just going through the motions of the activity, but they're actually realizing. So, just as we were discussing, if a devotee is in Raga Marg and they have that Samvit Shakti in their heart, then when they pray to Krishna in Golok Vrindavan, Hey Shama Sundar Shikanda Shekhar, Anata Gokula Sudakara Suprasanna Bhaktala Vinda Madaraskrita Ekabhadra. Oh Krishna, your face is beautiful, shining like the moon, and your heart is melting with compassion. Please take me by the hand and lead me to that place where you are going to meet with Radhika. If the devotee will cry in this way, with realization, then Krishna will, being there, you'll hear that devotee's cry from here. So he's also Sarvagya. He's Sarvagya. But he's Sarvagya in relation to his Swarup Shakti. Like this. So I'm just giving this as an illustration how Krishna can be Mugdata and Sarvagyata, both qualities. He can be bewildered and also know everything. And so the pure Vaishnava in this world is same. As Krishna likes, he can know everything. And for his leela as being a humble sadhak, crying, I'm so fallen, oh Gurudev, be merciful to me, like that, then he becomes also Mugdata. It's true, isn't it, Chamarani? She has endorsed and received stamp of approval from the senior Vaishnavis.